Ni hao everyone. Today I want to share with you an interview with the late Mr. Ying-Shih. He was a well-respected scholar, known as the leading Chinese historian of the 21st century. The interview was conducted in 2013, some 12 years ago. The reason we bring back the interview is because Mr. Yu's criticism of both the CCP and the Taiwanese government still resonate powerfully today. As you may know, recently, a former Taiwanese Minister of Culture Affairs, Ms. Long Ying-Tai, published an article in the New York Times advocating appeasement in response to China's aggression towards Taiwan, which sparks widespread criticism in Taiwanese society. I am now sharing with you Mr. Yu's interview, highlighting several sharp criticisms of the CCP and the Taiwanese government from Mr. Yu. Number one, he believed China's rise is an illusion. The interviewer asked him, in recent years, China's rise seems to be a commonly accepted view both inside and outside China. Based on your observation, has China really risen? How should we assess China's current state? Mr. Yu replied, I don't believe China has truly risen. The CCP regime cannot be sustained in the long term. The political system must change. Economic inequity in mainland China is severe. While over 100 million people along the coast have become rich, most of the wealth is kept within families connected to communist officials. Many officials send their families and money abroad. It shows they don't trust their own government. The CCP government spends huge amounts to silence dissent and maintain control, which shows insecurity, not strength. During the National People's Congress sessions, Beijing mobilized 800,000 personnel for security. Dissidents are even sent on state-funded trips out of the capital. My cousin, a member of the Tiananmen Mothers, is routinely taken out of town with her entire family to places like Fuzhou or Hangzhou whenever there is attention on her. Even the officials who accompany them enjoy these free trips. This is one reason for the massive spending on stability. Can such a society really be sustainable? Anyone with common sense knows it cannot last. I believe the CCP will eventually change. It cannot maintain this system forever, though what comes next remains unclear. Now, as the second point, I want to highlight Mr. Yu's opinions on the hereditary power and institutionalized corruption of the CCP. He said Xi Jinping's slogans like the China Dream are meaningless. Corruption is everywhere, and many of the rich are ready to flee the country. A small group of powerful families control the economy. Even those promoting the China Dream don't seem to believe in it themselves. One internal survey reportedly found that 70 to 80% of respondents did not recognize the CCP's legitimacy. Authorities had hoped for positive responses, but results were so negative they buried the report. However, some of the findings were still leaked and published in Hong Kong. Corruption in China is rampant. Many wealthy people have fled or prepared exit strategies. Some remained in China but hold foreign passports, ready to leave at any time. Today's CCP is essentially a hereditary aristocracy. There are 108 princeling families control trillions in assets. They also controlled 168 state-owned enterprises. Tens of thousands of corrupt officials fled abroad every year, taking vast sums of money with them. Do you believe such people believe in the China dream? If those shouting the slogans don't believe them themselves, how can anyone else believe the dream? Some overseas Chinese may be stirred by nationalist emotions, but those who truly understand the CCP's reality won't be persuaded. The third point I want to highlight is Mr. Yu's personal dream. He said, "I don't have a China dream. I have a human dream that everyone can live peacefully, do what they want, and speak freely. That's the kind of society I dreamed of. I don't want China to be overwhelmingly powerful and dominate the world. That is only nationalistic vanity. Nationalism isn't a virtue. The CCP exploits it as their own effective tool. Nationalism should only exist to resist foreign invasion, not to be feeding self-importance. Look at Germany and Japan, the two nations that embraced extreme nationalism. They ended in disaster. Some Chinese people, driven by over a century of humiliation, now demand recognition and respect from the world. But if you insist on others bowing to you to feel satisfied, you are headed towards self-destruction. On the issue of the 250 million farmers being urbanized, Mr. Yu has his opinions. He compares Xi Jinping's moving 250 million farmers into cities with Mao Zedong's disastrous Great Leap Forward at the end of 1950s. No country in the world has tried to relocate 250 million farmers from rural areas to cities en masse. The CCP is seizing land for profit under the guise of urbanization. Land seizures have become the top cause of public protests across China. People lost their homes and struggled to find work. Many farmers lack the necessary skills. Some people wanted to return home, but their villages have been demolished. The system is becoming more harsh with abusive urban policy and forced labor camps. Two of the most frightening features of the current Chinese system are re-education through labor and the urban management offices, 城管. 城管cause harm everywhere, arresting people and sending them to labor camps with violence. If this continues, China could regress to the era of the first emperor of Qin, a rule by brutal force. Mr. Yu also emphasized during the interview that he had been against the Communist Party since he was 19, not out of hate, but because he believed Chinese culture and values like kindness, family ties, and humanity are being destroyed. He hoped these cultural roots will return someday when the CCP's control ends. He said, "We will need to return to a normal way of life. Right now, there is too much ideological struggle. The CCP constantly preaches class warfare, but I don't believe it will last forever. One day, China will rejoin the mainstream of civilized societies." Another point Mr. Yu made during the interview was democratic values are Taiwan's soft powers. He believes Taiwan should stay true to its democratic values and not give in to pressure from China. He criticized Taiwan's leaders for being too soft on China and losing confidence. He said Taiwan has a psychological problem. Even the National Party, Kuomintang, is deeply afraid of the CCP. Some people fear a military attack as if Taiwan is defenseless. Others fear Taiwan independence and thus try to use Beijing to suppress it. That's a selfish mindset. If the National Party is going to surrender in the end, why bother retreating to Taiwan at all in 1949? You could have just signed the surrender in Nanking then. Taiwan's government must uphold principles when dealing with the CCP, upholding especially democratic values. When the blind human rights lawyer Chen Guangcheng visited Taiwan, even President Ma Ying-Jeou refused to meet him, and the Minister of Culture, Dong Ying-tai, didn't show up either. That was disgraceful. It looked like they were afraid of angering the CCP. I was deeply disappointed. I used to have high hopes for Taiwan. I understand Taiwan isn't perfect, but the willingness to resist the CCP must not be lost. How can a government born from anti-communism sink to this point? It is okay to do business with China, travel and trade, but no political concessions should be made. Taiwan absolutely has cultural strength far superior to the mainland, especially in terms of traditional Chinese culture with a human touch. Taiwan's society, as it stands now, is accepted by everyone. No one wants to overthrow it and start it from scratch. That's a massive source of stability, though Taiwan itself doesn't fully appreciate it. On the contrary, the CCP spends a huge amount of money on stability maintenance. If a society feels it must overthrow its system in order to survive, it is in a very dangerous state. Lastly, the interviewer asked, when countries deal with the CCP, they seem afraid that if the party collapses, China will fall into chaos. Is that fear justified? Mr. Yu replied. That's true. Many people fear the consequences of CCP collapse, but the so-called stability maintenance is really just about preserving the CCP's rule, not the people's welfare. In reality, I don't believe China will fall into anarchy. Rather, local regions will gradually stop following central orders. It will be a quiet decline in central control, not widespread chaos. The CCP exaggerates the threat of collapse, claiming that without the CCP, China will fall apart. But that's simply not true.
Thank you for watching the pick of the world's best thinking. See you in the next episode.